Well, hello, I am Mark Rizzin Hopkins.
And this is GaryLeland, and you're listening to episode 100 of the Crypto Cousins podcast.
Feed your interest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies by joining Hall of Fame podcaster GaryLeland on the Crypto Cousins podcast. And remember, we are all cousins in the world of crypto. This week's price of Bitcoin.
$11,300. That's up $2,155 or 23.5% over the last 7 days.
Howdy, Mark. Welcome to the show, episode 100 there. I bet you didn't know that you were my guest for episode 100.
I am flattered and honored to be on episode 100. Yeah, I didn't know it was a big round number like that.
Well, you know, I thought it only fair since you were the first person we ever interviewed, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, back in episode 2, I guess. 2 or 3, whichever one. Whenever we interviewed someone, you were the first one there. And I had to give you 4 howdies because you're from Texas.
That's
I usually
right.
give 3, but I give Texans a 4th howdy. Just Jimmy Song called me out on that and said, "Hey, you only gave me 3 howdies, dude." So since then, I've made sure I gave my 4th howdy to everyone. How you been doing, guy?
Oh, you know, it's been an interesting last couple of months, but overall pretty good.
Yeah. Bitcoin's on all crypto's on a pretty bull run right now. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, tell us. You've been on this show twice, I think. I think it's your 3rd time. So I don't want a long bio, but for anyone who may not know, you just give us like the 30-second bio.
30-second bio is I'm a tech nerd. Futurist. I was a journalist for almost a decade in the tech space covering crypto. I just do random things in the world of crypto and don't really have a title right now.
Well, it's good enough, but you do occasionally do videos that I've seen, Dr. Bitcoin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing it's when you're a producer, you know this, Gary, you can't stop yourself from producing content. So that's just kind of an outgrowth of who I am as an individual. I produce the Ask Dr. Bitcoin videos and have some Telegram chat rooms and all sorts of stuff where people can ask crypto related questions. And it actually started as a way for me to cut down on the number of phone calls I got from all the Bitcoin newbies in 2017.
Oh, that makes sense. It's just go see video number 7.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense when you say it that way. Yeah, I understand on the content. I think at the moment I'm doing 5 crypto podcasts. So
it's like a compulsion, right?
Yeah, especially when you take the compulsion or the desire to create content, then with the compulsion of cryptocurrency, both of those are can just consume your whole mind. So when you do both of those things, you're kind of in trouble there, I think.
Yeah, you're in for the count.
Hey, how did you originally learn about Bitcoin? Because I'm saying Bitcoin, not cryptocurrency, because I know that when you learned about it, it probably was just Bitcoin around.
Yeah, I think there was Namecoin and DevCoin that also existed, and probably a couple other really tiny projects. But it was like 99% Bitcoin back then. Ironically, it was a Bank of America VP buddy of mine who introduced me to Bitcoin. He and I went way back. We were friends in high school, and he and I would geek out at a coffee shop every night, not every night, but once every couple of weeks, and just talk about random geeky stuff, drink coffee. And he's like, have you heard about this Bitcoin thing? I knew upon reflection that I was going to have a lifelong relationship with Bitcoin because of my reaction to it. It was the same reaction I had to podcasts, which is like, this seems like bizarre technological move. I don't think I can get behind this. But, I like podcast. I kind of stuck with it until I really understood what it was, not just like my gut reaction to it. And, of course, just like all of us, I became obsessed with it. But how I got my first Bitcoins was also from him. Whenever he would settle up on the bill at night, I would pay in cash and he'd pay his half in Bitcoin.
He'd pay you or where you had your coffee?
Well, he paid me for his half of the bill.
Okay, because I was going, wow, the coffee place took Bitcoin? That was fun. I said, wow, he might have been before the pizza guy. We might need to get him in the in the book there. How many Bitcoins was it he was paying for that half a cup of coffee? How many Bitcoins did he pay for half a cup of coffee back then?
Well, I know. Let's see. It would probably be about for a cup of coffee, probably about half a Bitcoin back then.
Yeah, so $4,500 cup of coffee.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
Tony, who used to be the co-host during season 1, he has a pair of sunglasses. I think he said he paid $30,000 for.
Jeez.
Yeah, with the Bitcoin that he paid for these sunglasses, with how low Bitcoin was at the time. Now the sunglasses would be valued, that much Bitcoin would be like $30,000.
There's a thread on Bitcoin Talk Forum you can find with my name on it where I paid for an iPad with 40 Bitcoin or so.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you think when people hear stories like this, and people know now, most people are buying Bitcoin, I think more so now as digital gold, as something to invest your money in and hold your value. Do you think that actually is slowing down the actual spending of Bitcoins? That people are going, I don't want to be the guy who has a $500,000 iPad. I'd rather have $500,000 in 10 years.
So the lessons of the past are obviously buy and replace, right? Like that's I do OTC stuff too.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So when you spend that 40 Bitcoins, you should go out and say, okay, I was going to spend, Bitcoins were $1 and you spent $40. Just to do simple math, you should go out and buy $40 more Bitcoin to replenish your stack.
Right. Yeah.
Instead
absolutely.
of going, okay, there's that gone. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I try to live crypto first. I mean, if you want to get real about it, I spend whatever my salary is, less a little bit every year worth of crypto. But I'm always buying it back. I convert my paycheck into crypto the moment I get it.
Okay, this isn't what this conversation was about originally, but now I'm going to ask you some questions I have about this. Number one, you said over the counter. How are you getting Bitcoin over the counter? What does that mean to me? I mean, I'm kind of like sitting here going, I think I want to buy some more Bitcoin. Bought some Bitcoin a few months ago when it was 3,500. I added to my pile. And now I'm going, I want to add a little bit more to my pile maybe. Or if it drops, I definitely want to add some more to my pile. How do you do that? What does that mean I know what over the counter means, but explain that to me.
Well, OTC over the counter is just kind of an umbrella term for any way to buy or sell Bitcoin that isn't like through an exchange or through Coinbase or something like that. That's the way I've come to use it in our context. I mean, it has a slightly different implication if you're talking about like stocks and financial instruments.
Yeah, but it's not like you're going downtown Dallas and there's a counter you go up to and say, hey, give me 5 Bitcoins today. Here's my wallet. Load me up.
Well, since I closed down my Dallas office, no. But yeah. No, there's not like it's not like a trading floor or anything like that. Although there were some interesting experiments, I think in the early days with something called Satoshi squares, where they kind of simulated what it was like on a trading floor where people could buy and sell crypto at a meetup type situation. But typically OTC is just finding somebody like me or somebody that like you that has some Bitcoin they want to buy or sell and just striking a deal outside the confines of an electronic marketplace.
Well, let's say that, and not that I'm saying I am, but let's say someone was looking for $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. They wanted to buy 10 Bitcoin right now, $90,000.
Okay.
And they were to contact someone. You were selling Bitcoin basically over the counter at your place, right?
Yeah, basically we would do it as a service to some of our
okay, I just want to make sure I was right. So when someone came in, if they wanted to buy 10 Bitcoin or 20 Bitcoin, they're coming in, they've got $90,000 or $180,000. Do they bring you a suitcase with $180,000 in it, or what? Are they transfer it to your bank, or I guess not?
If it was as organized as a suitcase, I would be happy. That would be the outside. That would be the aberration to the rule. Typically,
that's not normal. That's not normal for someone to show up with money.
Oh no! It's normal for them to show up with money. For it to be like organized in a briefcase, like a movie, is absolutely abnormal. It would be people would bring it in like friggin' Walmart bags. Sometimes it was crazy. It was absolutely insane.
Oh, Walmart bags.
Yeah, there was one customer we had. He was a good customer, completely above board business, but he would just bring it in like the most bizarre manner. Sometimes he was just, one time he brought in a Walmart bag full of like $30,000, just dropped it on my desk and said, "Okay, can you turn that to Bitcoin for me? I got to go," and just walks out. We're like, "Okay, man." I mean, but like most of the time.
And so because he knows you, you just send it to his wallet address because you have a business relationship. How about it was someone you didn't know that well? Like, let's say he recommended someone to you. You know him real well, so you know he's not like sending you someone to rip you off. He said, "Hey, this is my brother-in-law."
Right, okay.
And he comes in, and the brother-in-law doesn't know you. So he's not just wanting to leave you the money and take off. He's kind of like going, I don't know this guy. I know John says he's okay, but I'm not. John's made mistakes in his life. So does he bring in like a treasurer or something with him, or just a wallet address, and he checks on his laptop his wallet address? Or
a lot of the process for me, especially in 2017, 2018, less so these days, but certainly in the past, and even earlier too, was me being Dr. Bitcoin and helping people understand. Like they would come in with, like a Coinbase wallet or something silly that was not like, they would always come mismatched with what it was. Or sometimes they bring in like a laptop running like the QT wallet. Sometimes they would bring in, blockchain.info on their phone or something like that. I always tried to kind of walk them through, okay, here's the right kind of wallet you want to use. Here's how, here's what you don't want to lose. Write this down, make 3 copies, that sort of thing. And in that process, we would get to know each other, especially if it's an amount above $3,000. You're legally required to know your customer and make sure they're not like a terrorist or a drug dealer or some other person trying to launder money or something. So that was the process that I used to get to know people that were fresh off the street. Who do we know in mutual, what's your comfort level with Bitcoin? Why are you doing this broadly? I don't need to know, the intricacies of your IRA or 401k and your investment retirement plan. But I do need to know that you're not going to do something illegal with the Bitcoin that I'm going to sell you. Because if you do something illegal and I sell it to you, then that makes me complicit in a crime.
would people come in and say, I want these Bitcoins and I don't have cash with me and I want to transfer the money to your account?
I mean, wires are fine too. I mean, we were a registered business, so like it was completely par for the course for us to get a $50,000 wire.
So do you charge a premium for that service? Or is there a discount for that service? How, like if Bitcoin was, $9,180 today, how much would a Bitcoin be using your service? $9,180?
So there's a sliding fee of schedule of fees, depending on like how much it is you're buying and whatnot, and how regular it is you're buying. What's your monthly volume? Our highest fee, actually, depending on what it is that you're doing, our normal highest fee is like 7%. Our normal lowest fee is 3%. If you're going with some sort of volume above 200,000 into the millions, then it's like one of those call for pricing type situations, because we need to know what it is and how frequently you're doing it. And then we can work out something usually.
Okay, well, those are all questions I had in the back of my mind. Sorry I got off the subject. But I just had those kind of questions in my mind, and they may be simple to some people, and they may not be. But I've never asked anyone exactly that was trading in Bitcoin, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's a topical thing right now. I mean, like we were doing this as a bunch of us here in Dallas were doing this just to, kind of meet new people and make a little bit of money using localbitcoins.com. And then they shut down the marketplace that most people use to meet folks that could sell them Bitcoin in person. Like there doesn't exist a really good marketplace right now that comes up in Google when you search for it that says, how do I find people to buy from in person?
Oh, really? That's like, I've always thought it would be kind of scary to show up somewhere with someone you not know, and let's say you wanted to buy 3 Bitcoins for $27,000 from a stranger.
Mm-hmm. Well, typically people do the small amounts first. They always want to test the waters, and that's really smart because, to be frank, I mean, I've seen a million scams in this business, and there's more ways to lose your money than I can count.
Well, speaking of scams, we're going to go into a scam in just a second. But before I do that, let me use this opportunity to segue and talk about BITBLOCKBOOM. You were a speaker last year at BITBLOCKBOOM. And BITBLOCKBOOM is a Bitcoin conference that's coming to Dallas, Texas, I'm putting on. I call it a real Bitcoin conference because Bitcoin is basically all we talk about. This will be the second year for BITBLOCKBOOM. It's August the 17th and 18th. We have a ton of great speakers. Go to bitblockboom.com and look at our lineup. And if you use the code COUSINS, COUSINS at checkout, you'll receive 30% off the price of your ticket. So make sure and look at bitblockboom.com today. And I hope I get to meet you in Dallas, Texas. So you'll be there. So we're going to have a good time this year. We had a good event last year. The brunch was really good. I think we've almost sold out of the brunch. I've sold more brunch tickets that had brunch with it than any other ticket. And last year we were having to almost force sell those tickets. Now I think it turned out to be so good.
I'm definitely going to have to make sure I'm at that brunch. I met some.
Well, I have a ticket for you at the brunch, so I hope you're going to be there.
Good. I wasn't sure if I had the ticket that did it or didn't. I was going to talk to you about it after the show. So
No.
if I'm in, I'm in.
No, you're in the brunch. You got a full ticket. But I have you on the show this time because of an interesting thing I saw you talking about in your Telegram group. Your phone was jacked, right?
Yeah.
So let's get into that because that's really I brought you on the show for. I'm sorry I derailed everybody on the over-the-counter stuff, but I was just curious. Tell us about this event here, when it happened, what happened, how you found out. I'm just going to let you go through it all.
Yeah, so it is kind of an interesting story, and me kind of going through the whole thing would be, I think, informative for other folks that are even sort of visible in this space because it's going to happen again and again. So I was late night, sitting at home in my bed, watching something on Netflix with the wife, and I'm still working on my phone, still have it in my hands, messing around while we're watching the show, and all of a sudden, I think what it was is I was trying to call my son from the other end of the house, and he's got his headphones on, he can't hear me, so sometimes I just call him up even though we're in the same house.
Right.
And so I hit the button to call him, and it doesn't go through. Like it just says like you're not on the network or something like that, and I'm like, okay, no, that's particularly odd. But I recently, switched bank accounts or something like that, so that maybe the auto bill didn't go through or something like that. And so then I try to go to the website, to check my bill, and no websites are popping up. Okay, this is not great. So my wife's sitting right next to me, like I said. So I pick up her phone and I dial 611, the number to call T-Mobile. And while I do that, I put my phone back on Wi-Fi to, start doing some of this stuff. And I get an instant notification that says your password to Gmail has been changed, and which is, never a good sign if you didn't do it. And so while I'm doing that, I'm freaking out. Like I mobilize the whole family. I'm like, okay, Iris, my wife, stay on hold with them. As soon as you get them on the phone, let them know I've been SIM swapped. And then I got my son to come in here and, okay, I need you to bring me my laptop because I need to, recover my Gmail account. It's kind of like a DEF CON situation. Everyone was scrambling around trying to get stuff back. And then I got my Gmail account back within 4 minutes. The recovery options on that I had previously set up so that I didn't need just my phone. If I could remember a previous password or some other data point that was in the account, it would let me recover it. And then the next phase of that for like the next 20 minutes was kind of fighting with the first level support that this was a serious situation and I needed actual help because they were doing this whole have you turn your phone off and back on again and all these other kind of silly troubles.
Yeah. They're not realizing what's going on here. They're just going through their playlist.
Right. Yeah. And I'm like, listen, no, I know what's happening. I've been SIM swapped because there's another guy here in town that this has happened to twice in the last 6 months. I've been SIM swapped. I need some help, blah, blah, blah. And finally they get me up to second level support. Second level support is significantly more helpful. She provided a lot of details about what had happened that I think probably in retrospect, her legal team wished that she hadn't because I've used that to try to climb up even further on the ladder with T-Mobile. But the what it came down to was that there was a fellow, a store manager out of Rockville, Maryland, that despite all the security fences that I had set up on my account, authorized my SIM card to be swapped out, or my phone number to be swapped out to another SIM card and then installed in another phone to somebody who walked in the store, which it gives the implication that either this individual who works for T-Mobile is complicit in the scam or is blackmailed into it or has had his credentials stolen and somebody just walked into the store and logged in as him and performed the action. But within about 12 or 13 minutes of the SIM swap, there was that's when the login was recorded by Gmail from a Windows NT machine emulating an LG Nexus 4, interestingly enough, logged in and brute force attacked my Gmail account.
So the computer logged in as a cell phone.
That's my assumption. And that's based upon the fact that the first login into the Gmail account was registered as an LG Nexus 4. That was like the system type that it registered. And then from the same IP address, after I reset my password, from the same IP address, there was about like 10 or 15 more login attempts. And actually, they cracked my account twice. Because the first time I reset my password, I used an old password that just popped into my head at that moment. As soon as I did it, I realized this is one of those passwords that had been compromised on some other site. So it's floating around there in a password list that was associated with me. And they cracked my account again instantly. They were able to get right back in, and then I changed the password a second time, and they were locked out. But those other attempts to log in were coming from a Windows NT machine.
Okay, so somebody went into a store in Maryland, got the guy working in the store to SIM swap, give this guy access to your phone. They went into your Google Gmail. You found out about it. Do you know how soon after the guy went in the store that he started on your phone?
It was within 20 minutes. I was about 12 to 16 minutes, if my memory serves here.
So that's about enough time to get somewhere and get set up, I guess.
Yeah. Like it was not instantaneous. And there's a bunch of assumptions I've tried to make off of that. I'm not sure if they're all correct, but it would seem like there's two parts to it. And the other thing, so like from that, the anatomy of that attack, we can understand that the guy who was doing the password cracking, it was targeted. Because when I used an old password that was known to be compromised, they were able to recover into the account instantaneously. So that means they had done their homework on me as an individual. Another evidence point that it was targeted to me as an individual is that I have, obviously, you know about Roger Wilco. We're in the process of transitioning out of Roger Wilco into a new company that we haven't launched yet. But at the moment of the hack, there were 6 other individuals, all of which have some amount of Bitcoin and are known to work in the cryptocurrency or the blockchain space. But I'm the only one that's active on Twitter and active on Telegram on a daily basis talking about Bitcoin and blockchain. So I obviously came up in somebody's social media dragnet of like, okay, this is a guy who's public about his cryptocurrency usage. Put him on a list. We're going to try to attack him later. Whereas the other folks in our company, they're active maybe on Facebook, but that's it. Not Twitter, not Telegram, other places.
So they started on your phone about 20 minutes after they got the through at the store. How long do you think it was after that you realized it?
Well, I knew that the SIM had been swapped instantly.
Okay, so so 21 minutes later, you found out.
All right, so I found out that the SIM had been swapped the moment that it registered on the network.
Okay.
Because I just happened to be on my phone at that point. I got through to T-Mobile and had my phone disabled probably about 20, 25 minutes after the whole time.
So that's the first thing you do you're trying to accomplish is have your phone disabled?
Yeah. Well,
in a situation like this, I mean, that's the number one thing you want to do is get your phone disabled.
Yeah, because the process of swapping it back to your SIM card or swapping it to a third new SIM card, which is what I ultimately had to do, it's going to take, at least an hour or two to register on the network, possibly. And the moment that they even get to it could be, 30, 45 minutes into the phone call. So the first thing you want is to say, I've gotten SIM swapped. Let's disable my phone instantly so that they can't access the network as me. right? Because they're going to have access to all your second factor authentication.
So the first person can do that answers?
Right.
Okay.
And well, the first person can do it. It might be the second person. They might kind of do what they did to me, is try to walk you through rebooting your phone and asking if you've installed any squirrely apps or anything like that. But the next thing you need to do, if you are sitting on your phone and you think you've been SIM swapped like me, is jump onto your Gmail account. That's the next thing that they're going to hack. There's two reasons for that. Number one is a lot of people will store their private keys or their mnemonics in like a Gmail draft or something like that. And so that's one of the first places people will look.
I never thought about using that as a storage area, a draft.
It's not very secure. I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend it either. I just never thought about doing that, using that as a storage. You could use that as a note file, I guess.
Well, that's what I've seen people do it when I've helped them set up a wallet. I'm like, okay, but no. Here's a pen. Here's a piece of paper. Do it there. Like, you put it there. I mean, number one, like, what happens if you accidentally hit delete or unsave the draft or whatever, and it's gone, and then you're screwed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, yeah, if your account's ever compromised, it's the first place they're going to check. And then secondly, the next thing that's really important to hackers when they're going to compromise your Gmail account is going to be all your saved passwords in Chrome. And if you're connected for more than, really more than like 3 or 4 minutes, they can suck down that entire list. And so that was a lot of my week. That particular week was just going through every password that mattered to me that I'd saved in Chrome and resetting it to something new, because that gives them access to not just your crypto, but your bank accounts, right? So if you've got like 2 or 3 personal bank accounts, they can go set up their own Square Cash or their own, like, they can go online and get like an Ally bank account or something like that, and they start plugging in your stuff and transferring all their money to themselves.
Right, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So what kind of damage was done, or was there any damage done in the, I guess, 25 minutes?
I was super lucky. There was no real damage other than the fact that I had to spend like a day and a half changing every password that I have, and there's a lot of them. But other than lost time, I wasn't materially damaged. So my next steps after recovering my Gmail while I was still on the phone with them is all my non-custodial wallets, I just regenerated new ones and moved stuff over to new wallets, so that in case I had a copy of my private keys or mnemonics anywhere, they would just be empty wallets,
Well, even if you had a wallet, though, let's say you had an Abra wallet, you were buying Abra online.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't they still need your 4-digit password for Abra to get in there and get your Abra out of there? I mean,
but you can recover that. Like, if you've got access, it's all about like points of data.
Oh, since you've got the Gmail, you can say, I need to recover this information and get a new setup.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it's better. That's another reason it's better to pull it off and put it into a hard wallet instead of walking around with it on your phone.
Yeah.
Not only that you might lose your phone or drop your phone in the toilet. Well, I guess you could probably recover it back if you did that. You just get a new phone, download the app, put in the password.
Right.
Or the numbers you supposedly wrote down on a piece of paper. So the number one reason is in case you're jacked, your phone's jacked.
The real damage, I mean, for folks that listen to this show that are, I would say the vast majority of us have been around this long enough. We're probably using non-custodial wallets. We haven't stored our private keys in our Gmail or any other type of cloud account, not in Google Docs or something. Anybody that's listened to a Ray redacted speech about Bitcoin, like, we're doing the right stuff. We're not going to get materially damaged from this in the sense of we're going to lose our crypto. But what will happen to us is our lives will get seriously disrupted. So if I'd been asleep when that had happened, he could have made it so that I could not recover my Gmail account.
Well, he'd had 6 hours to go in there, and then you wouldn't be able to even get in there to stop him.
Exactly. And in that case, I would have not have lost my money, but I probably would have lost access to my Coinbase account. I would have lost access to like some of my exchange accounts. And he probably could have used my Coinbase or my exchange accounts to buy crypto from my bank accounts, which did have a significant amount of cash in them. And then I've got to go through and tell Coinbase, okay, but that was not me. please give me my money back. Please recover my account. Because if he's got access to my phone number and he's got access to my Gmail, he's got two-factor authentication on anything. It won't take him long to figure out how I've got that configured. There's only like 3 or 4 ways you can possibly have that configured. And he's got access to all the recovery emails for Gmail. So I've got to go up to Coinbase and, try to go in the back door on their support and go, okay, yeah, I know I'm calling for this new account that I just made, but really I'm calling about this account that was compromised last week. Can you please give it back to me? And they're like, no. And it's just going to be a huge hassle.
Well, I'm sure that you had security set up on your phone that nothing could be done unless you went in person and showed your ID.
How do you do that with Coinbase?
No, I meant for your phone, though.
Oh, absolutely.
And
yeah.
so
in fact,
there was no way for you to prevent. There was no steps you could take that would have prevented this.
For the SIM swap? No.
Yeah.
And so that was the crux of why I was so irritated. So the story really doesn't end here. This is just kind of like the incident report. And so the next step was, or the next thing that kind of happened is I jumped onto Twitter to kind of see if this is happening to anybody else. And sure enough, there's like a giant community of us on Twitter, crypto folks and basically crypto Twitter folks that use their real name or have dropped their real name or have been doxxed that are going through the same thing. And there's like 30 or 40 incidences that have come up in the last few weeks. There's an FBI agent on the case out of the Northeast. He's the FBI office that's closest to the T-Mobile office is working this case. And then past that, I called in T-Mobile several times. I said, look, I want to be a partner in this investigation. I want to provide information. I was able to, give them a lot of extra information they had, thinking they were going to use it to try to solve the case, right? And the deadlines for them to call me kind of came and went. And I called in a few times, but, I'm busy with life. And so I didn't really make it my first priority to follow up on the investigation. And then a week later to the day, it happened again. Like the same exact hack happened again. This time it was an attempt to do the same exact hack, but it looks like they stopped midway through, or perhaps some of the extra security measures I had T-Mobile set up on my account.
So you're saying they went into another store, T-Mobile store, and got a SIM swapped, or?
Again, so the end result was a little bit different, and I'm not exactly sure why the SIM swap didn't go through exactly the same way as it did the first time. But I'll tell you exactly what happened, and maybe somebody that's got more experience than me with this type of stuff can fill in the blanks. But what had happened, I'd been up for more hours than I ought to have all week. I fell asleep really early, like 7 or 8 at night, and then I woke up 11 the next day. And I woke up and my phone wasn't working again, and my heart sinks. And I'm like, oh crap, is my life destroyed? Did it happen while I was asleep? But then unlike the first time, my data isn't working. I can't dial out to a regular phone number, but I can still dial into 611. And so I call into 611 and go through the whole support system. And they say that this time somebody had called in and they gave me a specific store number they called in from and a specific dealer number they called in from. It was another manager at a different store, called in to the call center and asked to have my phone suspended. And I don't know why, because that's just like an inconvenience at best. Maybe they were trying to, suspend it so they could do a SIM swap themselves, or maybe they were calling in to suspend it because I had made their life a living hell or something by sticking the FBI on them. I don't know. Or I honestly don't understand the goal of it, because they didn't try to attack, or if they did try to attack my Gmail, they didn't get in. If they were trying to complete a SIM swap, they didn't finish it. But it was a week to the day, and it was the same, a very similar MO. They were using the store ID and credentials of a store manager from a different store. And so that conversation with support led me to basically saying, look, okay, guys, this is 2 times in 2 weeks. What the heck's going on over there? You guys working on this or not? Please check up on the previous reports. Nothing real had been done with the previous reports. So I did my normal social media complaining thing and raised a real stink. And I was on the phone with these guys for 2 or 3 hours. Just give me a manager. Okay, give me your manager, type of thing. I wound up getting a call back that evening from somebody on their executive response team. And this is a small team inside of T-Mobile. There's like 6 to 8 of them on this team. They're at the corporate level. You can't dial in and be asked to be transferred to this group. They have to call you. But essentially, the way they described it to me is they put me on a plan that would be super inconvenient for most people. But if you're a celebrity or if you're somebody like me or you that's getting targeted by this type of stuff, it's the only way to stop it. And it's essentially like the celebrity. Nobody can change my phone plan unless somebody from the T-Mobile headquarters signs off on it. And they have to be someone from T-Mobile headquarters that's on this team of like 6 to 8 people. So anytime I want to upgrade my phone or add a line or whatever, now I've got to, go into a store and then like get one of these guys on the phone line. And they're the only ones that are allowed to authorize it in the computer system. Whereas if you just if you're like a normal person that's trying to set security measures on your account, whether you're a business account like me or an individual account, any manager at T-Mobile has the discretion to override those security measures.
I didn't know about this type of security. I knew about walking into a store and just showing your ID, and supposedly I didn't know another manager in another state could screw you like that. But I didn't know they had to step up from this, where it's like a select group of people that can authorize it.
Yeah, this is all news to me. I just found out about this in the wake of this situation. But like, I kind of got the idea that like those security measures could be overridden because it's happened before with our company account. Usually we send somebody to a T-Mobile store, when they become an employee of ours, and say, okay, why don't you go add yourself to the plan? They're going to call me up because I'm the authorized signer on the account to authorize it. A couple of times employees have walked into the store and like, and I never get the phone call, but then they get their phone. They're like, yeah, I guess they didn't need you. They didn't call you. I just told them I was with Roger Wilco and they overrode it. And like, okay, that's some high security right there. But the way that it's supposed to work is obviously not that, but every manager has it at their discretion. They can override whatever security measures if they feel like the person is being honest or whatever, apparently if they want to participate in a cryptocurrency stealing scam.
Well, that's an interesting development to know about on the next level of security, because I wasn't aware of that. And I'm glad you didn't have anything stolen. You sure went through a lot of trouble. I'm glad you didn't lose any crypto or anything. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
I mean, I listened to my Ray Redacted. I know how to not lose my Bitcoin.
Well, Ray will appreciate that. Ray's pretty much up on that. Yeah, I like Ray.
If this has happened to you in the listening audience, there's an FBI agent by the name of Kevin Brennan. I have his information. So anybody that needs to be looped in with the FBI investigation can contact me. If you've lost something, or even if you haven't lost something, all the participation from anybody that's been hit by this would be helpful. AT&T and T-Mobile people have seemed to be getting hit by the same scam. So,
well, that's good information to know. Now they have a contact point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for giving. That's an interesting story. I found it interesting, at least ways. So I appreciate it. Hey, before we get out of here, I got a couple of personal questions for you.
Sure.
I ask everybody, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book of all time is The Age of Spiritual Machines by Ray Kurzweil. It's one of the few books that I've read that completely reshaped my worldview in a way that impacted my daily behavior and how I approach life.
How about your favorite crypto resource, your number one resource?
There's a lot of really great Telegram rooms that I'm in. The one that I enjoy the most because it's got a broad array of stuff that's not just crypto is called Cryptsu, KRYPTSU. It's just kind of an announcement room. It's not a discussion room. It's an announcement room, but the type of stories that he picks is pretty interesting.
I mean, what's your favorite podcast?
Well, other than the one that I'm on right now, of course, there is a podcast that I've been listening to for a minute called Flippening. Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
I mean, I dig the way that, he'll freeze frame and explain a concept from traditional finance that, us crypto folks might not necessarily be familiar with, and kind of come at it from that angle. It's a great way to on-ramp into more complex financial instruments if you've been in our world for a long period of time.
Very good. Where can people follow you at, Mark?
I am at Rizzin on most social networks. If I'm not at Rizzin, I'm at Actually Rizzin. or you can just Google Ask Dr. Bitcoin. That'll take you to websites where you can find more information about me.
Very good. Well, thanks for coming on the show and being interview number 1 and on episode number 100. I've got you. You're the ones. You're bookmarking it, Mark.
Nice. Maybe I'll come back on 111 then.
Oh, yeah, 111, 121, or just 11s. Yeah, ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I don't have to have you back on 200. Huh?
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. A big thank you to all the cousins out there that are showing their support by donating, subscribing, and leaving great reviews on iTunes. All of those things help more than you realize. Now, you can subscribe almost anywhere podcasts are available by going to cryptocousins.com/subscribe. Call me with your comments or questions at 747-777-9471, or you can email me at thecryptocousins@gmail.com, and I'll try to use these on future episodes. Please take a peek at the 4-Minute Crypto Show, which is produced every weekday and located at 4minutecrypto.com. It's the place to get your daily dose of crypto news, and it's always 4 minutes or less. And one last thing, please take a look at my new website, Crypto Crybaby. This website is for the true crypto fan and sells Bitcoin and crypto gear like t-shirts, caps, and so much more. Take a look at CryptoCrybaby.com today. Thanks again for listening. Love you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Crypto Cousins podcast. Please share the show with your friends. They can subscribe by going to cryptocousins.com/subscribe. And if you want to know more about Gary, just go to GaryLeland.com. Make sure and join Gary and all the Crypto Cousins every week for a new episode of the Crypto Cousins podcast. The Crypto Cousins podcast and the information included in the podcast are not intended as investment advice. Investing in any cryptocurrency is risky, and you should never invest more than you can afford to lose. Always seek professional advice before investing in any cryptocurrency. Please understand, you are using any and all information from the Crypto Cousins at your own risk.